Easy to go. Okay. It is 8:30. I call this meeting to the Riley County Commission to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, well, good morning, everybody. I'm going to start off with some public comments here in just a second. I had one thing I wanted to add during the public comment section, and that's as I continue to get some emails and some correspondence on this. We are working on the live stream. We have had some discussions with IT, and they are working some things out. We appreciate that, and we just ask that you be patient as we work out some of the, particularly, I guess, the audio issues here. So we'll continue to work on that, and we'll make it well. So that's all I have for public comment. Myself will start off on Zoom. I see a couple people up there. I can't read the name from here.
Paula.
Who?
Paula.
Yes. Did you have something to add on public comment this morning?
Good morning, sir. I represent the ATA, and they have an item before you this morning.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so that's a little bit down the road then. Okay, thank you. John, did you have anything?
I'm just here if you have any questions.
Okay, sounds good. Then we'll go ahead and move to the chamber. I see a couple people here. Public comments? Everybody's here for other items then, I take it. Okay, fair enough. With that said then, we'll go ahead and move to commission comments. Commissioner McKinley, we'll start with you.
Okay, well, first I had a public service announcement. The commissioners did not appoint ourselves as Board of Health of Riley County. State of Kansas has designated county commissioners as the Board of Health for all Kansas counties. There's been some confusion there. On Tuesday evening, I attended the Leonardville City Council meeting. I contacted Tammy for the numbers of the cities in Northern County that are going to be received the road and bridge sales tax, to get the amounts, to let them know that in a couple of years that probably is going to go away, so they got a couple of years to get into their budget. And I also want to thank John Ellerman for working with one of the neighbors for our yard in Leonardville. He adjusted the location of our new storage building to accommodate some of the residents' concerns. On Wednesday, my wife and I were signed up to help with the vaccination in Leonardville. Since the state didn't like that, we didn't get the vaccination up there was canceled. I'd worked hard to get the word out in North County that was going to be there. When it canceled Monday afternoon, I was trying to let people know it wasn't going to happen.
Did they still do testing?
We still had a testing station there. I went up toward the end of the session, had a good discussion with the ladies running the event. They had a few people through. I'd say a lot, obviously, confusion whether it's because some people were saying it thought it was canceled completely. And they actually had more people coming through for vaccines than for testing because trying to get the word out. I think we've got ourselves square with the state now, so we can proceed until they change their rules. Wednesday afternoon was military relations meeting. I missed that because of conflict. I actually thought I'd seen somewhere that was going to be, I know it was a live one, but I thought it was going to be broadcast. I was wrong. I couldn't find it.
It was okay. I attended it in person.
So. No, okay. And then also last night, my wife and I picked up a carryout at a restaurant and went down to City Park in Manhattan to enjoy the outdoors. It was packed full of people. It was great. Everybody was enjoying the nice weather. The playground was full of kids. It was good to see people walking around the trail and stuff. Everybody's enjoying the good weather and the chance to get out. That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Hogan.
Okay. This week, I attended the Common Table Board meeting, which is the community meal system. And they said meal attendance nightly has been down, and that's probably due to all the meals being served in the community, which says a lot for the community. There's a lot of food out there for people who need it. They're also getting a grant renewal from the Community Foundation for about $10,000 to continue with the to-go program, which all the to-go boxes and items that go along with that are a lot more expensive than most of the organizations have budgeted for. So that was a good news. I spent a lot of running around this week. I did meet with the developer at the community building across the street on 4th Street and got a tour of the building, which is will be completed probably in about another month. And it is a mixed-use building. They've got like, I think 6 apartments, and they have some businesses that will be going in there. They do have, which is interesting, on the lower level, about 6 or 7 offices that people can rent, and then they have a common table for clients, so it'll be private business. The second floor, they have, it's the old gym. They've got a company that's going to be using that for training possibilities. And so I discussed with them the pros and cons of restoring an old building. And it's taken them about 2 years to get that project to where it is. First year, he said, was pretty difficult getting all the permits together, and it's under the Historic Society, so they had to meet a lot of conditions for them. And but he really said it was a great challenge, and was really supportive of restoring older buildings in the area. So that was really interesting. If you haven't gone over there and looked at it, Commissioners, I suggest you would. It's really.
I think I may actually do that.
Yeah. They're replacing the front doors, I think, today. So, yeah, it's coming along really well. So.
I have to admit, I kind of peek over there every day when I walk over there, see progress. That'd probably be a good idea.
Yeah, it's really an interesting project. I think you said it was built in 1917. So historic record. Let me say, I went to the HEA meeting yesterday evening. I know that follows on the line that will be a lease presented to us for the parking lot up in that area that they want to have. They completed their financial audit for the year, and overall it was a great audit, very clean, and they're doing very well. The mobility management person, Mike Wilson, talked about the new bus passes that are available on the phone, and you can do your debit or credit card. It's for smartphones. The startup costs were fairly low. But it interfaces with Google Maps. It can send passes. You can buy a pass for somebody, or an organization can buy passes and send it to people on the phone. So it's going to be a good thing for the bus system. There still will be paper passes available, but this will be a good thing for people. A lot less paper. I have talked with a lot of people concerning the mask mandate. There are people, schools. I've talked to school teachers. I've talked to community members, restaurant owners, business owners, churches, and everybody's really excited to hopefully see an end to the restrictions. But they're all concerned that we continue to have a mask mandate and social distancing, at least through the school year. That's something we need to work with our health director. The city is counting on us to have a mask mandate, I guess, till the end of the school year. So from what I understand. So anyway, I would just encourage everyone to continue to wear masks and social distance. That's the only way we can continue to have such good numbers in this county. So that's it.
Okay.
When you mentioned common table, made me think of something. When I was talking to this the ladies who were doing the testing up there, they said they had been down at Common Table on Tuesday night. Health Department was getting the vaccinations to the homeless coming through. So they were using that as an opportunity to get some of those folks that were hard to reach.
Yeah, they were going into the meal on Tuesday night at the Presbyterian Church and giving vaccinations. So that's
Well, you said you went down to the city park to enjoy the evening. I went over to the stadium yesterday to not necessarily enjoy the evening. I hurt today, but on my way home, I did see them over at the student table over there, and there were people coming and going from several different directions, it looks like, and they got it set up pretty well over there. And I thought about stopping, but I just wasn't feeling real good at that point in time. So I'll try to do that some other time when I get a chance. But for me, Monday afternoon, I have my usual community leaders call that we have in the afternoon. Of course, that's with local officials from the area, discussion centered around local COVID efforts. As you can imagine, a lot of the discussion centered around the possible extension or rescission of city mass ordinance and what we're all going to do and how we're all going to plan that. We discussed current cases and the issues with KDHE. I'm just going to leave it at that. It seems like everybody, including the university, are having pretty good success with their vaccination efforts. Once again, KDHE may say something about that. I'm going to choose not to at this point in time. That dialogue on masks is just going to continue over the next couple of weeks to figure out what it is we need to do and how we need to approach that. So I'll leave that one for now. Also, Tuesday evening, I did watch the Manhattan City Commission meeting. I did that on Facebook Live. Did catch the face mask discussion they had, but I also wanted to watch because I wanted to see what they were discussing and planning on the south parking lot there in Aggieville. Of course, we're involved in that tax increment finance with them, and so we have some vested interest in that process, and just wanted to see what their plans are moving forward with that, what they may be thinking, a timeline, obviously. They're pushing it out past having the parking garage and stuff and most of the rest of the other construction in there. And I guess the goal is to have some kind of mixed use space in there and have somebody come in and be able to develop that and get that moving. But it would add to that tax increment finance, so there'd be probably a larger payout at the end of that. But like I said, the reality is in Aggieville, everything and the way that we know it is going to change. It just is there. And that's one of the business districts that we can probably rely on moving forward that doesn't require new space or a new spot, and we can just redevelop it from within. So in the natural progression of things, it seems appropriate probably to move in that manner. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that will disagree with that. Wednesday, as I mentioned, I did attend in person the Military Relations Committee luncheon at the 4 Points. Very good, really well attended. Got to network with some people and talk that I've seen for a while, at least in person anyway. Guest speaker for that was Command Sergeant Major of the 1st Infantry Division, Raymond Harris. Spoke of many of the activities going on up on post. Talked about some of the upcoming deployments and where they're going, what the time frames and stuff are. They are working on renaming some of the streets up on Fort Riley after past Medal of Honor recipients. So if you're up on post and you see blue signs up there instead of the regular, are they green or brown? I think they're brown, aren't they? I don't go up on post much for obvious reasons, but if you see blue ones, they're named after somebody very, very special. So, and really appreciated that time spent yesterday. And yeah. Also yesterday afternoon, I attended the monthly meeting of the West Loop Business Association. That's the one I haven't really had the chance in my time here to really get involved with. So amongst the topics of discussion there, they had a presentation from the Pot County Economic Development team, Jack Alston, and it was pretty well thought out. It was a combination of Pot County, Riley County, Manhattan, and some really interesting stuff there. Mike was there from ATA as well. They gave a presentation on the new stop they put on West Loop. I gotta admit, I'm a little concerned about that one. It's right there on that small, little congested area. They are going to build a bench and have it covered and stuff. But I'm a little concerned on that one, I guess. May talk to Stephanie of MPO and see what they're thinking most there, but they've also put a blessing box in there. Trying to work with the local businesses in that area to keep that moving and operative, moving forward. Mike discussed that, and I think this is probably plausible, something that you were just saying, that one of the reasons why maybe some of those meals at the common tables are down and people are using these. And that's offsetting. So, if you have a chance to fill one of those or do something with one of those in your area, because we have about 23 of them now, I think, with this one. And there may be more coming. Take a moment, fill them up with some non-perishables, food, toiletries, things that people in need would use. Nothing explosive, nothing corrosive, those sort of things. They did have some problems a few weeks back.
Toilet paper's big thing too.
Yeah, I had some problems with canned goods freezing a few weeks back. I know it seems like eternity now, but yeah, so keep those things in mind if you do take the opportunity to fill one of those. And they also said something I thought was interesting is don't fill them to capacity. One would think that you would do that, but one person may come in and then empty it completely back out. So I said, be cautious with those things. So, and lastly, I did attend the Ogden City Council meeting last night. I haven't had a chance to get out there for a while, and I always like to do that and catch up with them and see what's going on out there. They are working on a new city municipal comprehensive plan to come out sometime later this month. I think they're working with the regional council on that. They're planning to coordinate some things with the parks over there, getting some new equipment, talking about a Frisbee disc scenario. I'm not sure how that's going to work geographically just yet, but they can make it work, power to them. And they've got some upcoming citywide events that'll be happening through the spring and the summer as well. So and with that, that's all I got. So let's move to some business, Rich.
First item I have is contract for Riley County Fire and Marine Waterline Project with Larson Construction in the amount of $58,757. Need a motion, please?
Mike, just so you know, because it does list that it's a CIP project, we only have $2,300 left as far as active funds for this project. So if you do go ahead and approve this, you also need to approve an amendment for the CIP funds for additional dollars.
Are we coming back with that amendment?
Yeah.
We'll bring back the amendment,
Okay.
but if you pass it, then we'll complete the form and bring it back to the
Okay.
sign.
Well, we're well into the process here, so.
Yeah.
it seems to be
Well, I
pretty
just get
nice.
that amendment on the business item and then I'll make the motion to approve that next business meeting.
But if they're approving the,
With CIP, we can go over on projects, but yeah. we can
yeah,
do
but
that.
if they're approving the funds for CIP now, we have to have the funds approved in CIP, don't we? The funds are there for them to be approved right now.
Just get on the business item next meeting, please.
Was this not approved in the original contract?
We've had to amend it a couple
Yeah.
times because of additional costs that have come through.
This is one
So
of
that's
them.
what
Yeah.
this would be as well.
Are there any others we anticipate coming through on this project?
Yeah, we have some vacation dollars that we'll have to spend to get off the old property at some point in time. So that would be probably, yeah, that's going to be probably the last part of this, and that may be tricky too. I don't know. Yeah. We've gone, just to put it in perspective, we've gone well over the original budget that Stanley just mentioned for this. And that's just because bits and pieces of it cost more to do at the time that we did it, and some of these extra things that we needed.
So we're probably at about what, 3 million on that project?
Right now, it's about 2.3
Yeah.
million,
What, right?
and then whatever these additional costs are gonna be.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like a lot in context, but yeah. But this is one that we had to work with a property owner in and around the area to get the access to. And that part's been done. Now it's just actually getting it done. So we're wanting to go ahead and make a motion for this, and then we'll come back for the other one later. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, preferably what would be nice, I'm not sure when Tammy was aware of this, but what we would like is the departments, when they have this, to do the amendment at the same time. Because Tammy's right, the project doesn't have additional money, but there is money in CIP. It's not uncommon for CIP projects to go over what was authorized, but that's why we have that cushion in CIP. So it'd be preferable. And of course, as we know, we do have new department heads, so it'd be nice to have all of that in one. So the commissioners, and the reason we're on the meetings on Zoom, the public's informed is what we're doing.
Let's go ahead and just entertain a motion to table this, and then we'll get everything put together and come back to it. Is that all right? Or do we even need to do that?
You can go ahead and approve this.
Okay.
The amendment form is a separate form. They
Right.
do work, as Tammy said, in concert together, but I mean, the reason we put a packet together is so the public is informed of what we're doing and the commissioner informed of what we're doing. And so it kind of defeats the purpose if we don't do that.
Well, when are they planning to start, or have they started? I don't see
No,
that.
They probably started, haven't they, Tammy?
John, do you know what the timeline is on the water line project out at the firing range?
You have the contract in front of you this morning to sign, and the latest they can start is April 12th.
Okay,
So we're hoping as soon as we get the contract signed, we set up pre-construction and we can go maybe a little sooner.
okay.
Wouldn't it be better to wait till we get the money in there if they want to start right away?
The money is in there, it's just not approved to be spent for there. So there, Tammy is correct, the money is in there, it's just not approved specifically for this project. And I just think, it's one of those things, especially since we have the packets out there for individuals to look at, and term that gets used a lot, openness in government, that everyone sees exactly what the commissioners are doing prior to them. Get comments about not being aware that was on the agenda, those types of things. But yeah, you can go ahead and approve this
And
contract.
they're not gonna, the contract, probably not, until they get a contract, they're not gonna buy material. So they don't have, nice stuff, they're ready to go. They're gonna need to get materials, and if they don't be able to start right away, but they have to have a contract to start anything.
And then John can get Tammy will walk John through getting the CIP amendment form, and we can have it on the business meeting on Monday,
That's fine.
and everything's taken care of.
That'll work.
No, there's no problem with approving this.
I don't see them starting up anything over there over the weekend. So, no, that's fine.
Well, I'd move to sign and approve the contract from Larson Construction in the amount of $58,757.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman,
I see a lot of yellow on there.
there's quite a few today to sign.
Tested today.
Yeah, that's all right. My hands still work. It's other parts of my body that aren't.
We didn't have you doing handstands.
No, that would have been, no, no. My hands still don't seem to be working, so maybe I did do something there too.
Whole body's seized up.
Oh, gosh. My mind thinks I'm 25, but
You had that problem the other day, didn't you?
but my body thinks my mind's an idiot.
Yeah.
Thank God.
My wife.
Next item is a vendor claim with delinquent taxes, approved certification of unpaid taxes for Jerry Haffner.
What is this? I don't understand it.
Shiloh's right. Describe that. I assume that's what Shiloh's here anyway.
He actually asked that question better than I was going to.
Okay, so there's a statute that says that if a vendor that does work with the county has delinquent taxes, that we can withhold their payment to them and use that payment to go towards their delinquent taxes. The statute used to read that we only checked delinquent personal property taxes, But a couple of years ago, one of the commissioners went to the state legislature and got it changed to also include delinquent real estate taxes. So we send a list to the county clerk's office of all delinquent taxpayers, and during the accounts payable cycle, they check that list of who they're paying with the list of delinquent taxpayers. And honestly, in the 17 years that I've been here, I've really only had to deal with this a handful of times, and this is actually the first one we've had to deal with that had delinquent real estate as well as personal property. So if you approve this, then we will issue that check to the county and we'll use it to apply towards this individual's delinquent taxes.
Sounds good.
Is there any more questions, discussion? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
It's been moved to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussions, questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I think it's the first time I've seen this too. So.
Yeah.
What was that, John?
I think this is the first time we've actually done this. I've heard prior commissioners talk about it.
It is. Bad news for you.
What did I miss?
It's one of the perks of being the chair.
We didn't make an official bet, so it won't cost me anything. The very
It's
last
a
one.
standing policy.
Yeah, there you go. I want that on the agenda next week. Well, we got all the way to March without me missing one. That's got to be some kind of record. Come on.
All the way to March. Okay, next item we have is the Manhattan Urban Area Planning Board appointment.
We skipped.
Oh.
We skipped
I don't
Neil
have my name
Bruce.
on here.
Yeah.
It's out of order.
Well,
actually.
there's, yeah.
Yeah, they're out of
the
order.
agenda-
It's out of order.
Two different ones.
So yeah, we can do the Manhattan Township once it's on the paper agenda in that order. The paper agenda and the computer agenda aren't actually.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, Manhattan Township Officer, accept Neil Bruce's resignation, appoint Sean Lindenberger as Manhattan Township Trustee. Need a motion on that.
I know Sean. He'll do good. He'll do.
Or if the board has any questions, feel free to, a couple of township representatives are here.
So in some, I know that's actually an elected position.
It is.
But then, so there's just how is this guy selected? I mean, I'm not questioning it. I'm just looking at information, how it works.
I can give you the process.
Okay, thank you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Deanne Rome with the county clerk's office. I help the township officers with their budgets and questions regarding work there that they do in the township. When it comes to an officer who resigns for whatever reason, in this case, Mr. Bruce moved out of the state, so he's no longer eligible to be a township officer. At that point, by state statute, it becomes a matter of the commission. The township will select someone to appoint to that position, but the commission is responsible for approving that appointment. Typically, the current board, whether that's the person leaving the township and the other two members, or just the two members that are remaining, will find somebody that will be willing and able to help fill that position at the township, and then bring that to our office and present it to use the commission for approval.
Okay.
So that would be until the term is up? They
It would be,
like-
yes, and then they would be either asked to put their information in to be on the ballot for election, or someone else would,
Okay, and that's on the primary?
depending
Depends on-
on how many people
They have to file for the
They have to
position,
file.
just like all other
Just like
elected
all of them.
positions, and depending on if there's another Republican or Democrat, whatever they may be, determines if there's a primary or not, just like all other positions.
Okay,
And I believe Mr. Bruce, he was just nominated, he was the trustee position, so it would be for 4 years as his term just started in January.
okay. Let's see here. I would make a motion to accept Neil Bruce's resignation and to appoint Sean Lindenberger as the Manhattan Township trustee.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any other discussion or questions pertaining to? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
All right.
Next item we have is, need a motion to appoint John Ball of Manhattan Urban Area Planning Board, and the resolution, makes such appointment.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good day.
I have a question on that. I looked at, I had to look up to see what the Manhattan Urban Planning Board was. I guess we appoint 3 and the city appoints 3. But it isn't just within Manhattan, it's also the area outside of Manhattan. Correct. Expanded. But as far as I can tell, every person on there is actually, if we're appointing someone, we appoint someone from the county, every person on there is a person within Manhattan. There's nobody from the county.
Right, well,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with John.
Yeah,
I'm not,
John is in the city though.
yeah, he lives in the city.
Yeah.
But under this term, if you're in Riley County, city or not city, you're still considered Riley County. And that's
but I just,
pretty much the case with all the boards. We have this issue come up on occasion with the law board. Same
Been my
process.
question, but that's before I got here on the law board.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, representative outside.
You're gonna find that to be the case a lot when the majority of your population within the county isn't in said city. So if you have somebody in the future and you know that position is gonna come up and you can vet somebody or something from another place, that's perfectly fine, but
I just, and I don't need, I mean, all 3 of ours, something
Yeah.
in the county, but I just think, you know, that we need to look at people outside of Manhattan.
All right.
understandable.
Was this one was advertised or it was on the list?
I think you just go back through the same process of filling out the application. This is
They're all
basically-
advertised, we advertise all of them in the Mercury annually, and the application's on the website for all boards, with all listed boards.
And it's on the web too, I suppose.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's always good to get people applying for boards and it's hard to find people.
That's the key right there.
Right.
And he's already on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already on.
And I think he has served twice now. So this may be the last time he can. I think he can go 3 times on that, isn't it?
There's some, been on there for a long time. It's-
That may be the case. That may be the
Second.
case.
Greg, you might bring that up at the next meeting you go to in Friday or
Yeah,
Leonardville
Oh, I know, and that's
for
what,
the next appointment.
you know, I think we say we advertise them, I don't know how many people look for them
And the-
in the paper or on the website. It's
This
just
one's a
something we
little
need to
different because
Analyze.
most people that are going to apply for this because they have some sort of type of background, but most people that are in planning don't have a lot of time to serve voluntarily.
Yeah,
So there's some differences with this particular board than some of the other advisory type boards, whether they're county-based, city-based, or collaborative. So
and okay, it's not, I mean, I know John,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
criticizing him, I'm just in general looking at that. But yeah, I'd move to appoint John Ball to the Manhattan Urban Area Planning Board. Approve resolution 30421.
I second that.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All 3, please.
Oh, I think Stan left his hat.
Excuse me? Did. Did, hopefully we'll be back. Yeah, here he comes.
Well, that one paper felt kind of heavy there. Maybe my hands aren't working today.
I had money in the kitty today, did you?
Not putting any money in there anyway. I refuse.
Next, commissioners, it's time for Craig Cox and out us.
Apologize, we're running a little bit behind this morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
This morning.
I'm here this morning regarding a lease that's before you to enlarge the parking lot at the Adibus facility that's located out at Public Works. Let me just give you a little back history on this. Back in 2010, Riley County leased to Adibus the property out at Public Works in which the facility is currently located. Since that time, and I'll defer to Ann, since I'm just speaking here. Since that time, the need for Adibus travel service has just increased exponentially. And because of that, they had to acquire additional buses. To accommodate those buses, they attempted to, they park them on the K-State campus. Currently, but that location being so far away from their facility just posed a lot of logistic issues. This lease will solve that problem for them because it will actually enlarge the parking lot out of the facility. And I should have had Rich help me get into my car, but there's an exhibit. It was yeah.
No problem.
I don't do this enough to.
Oh, that exhibit, that's what you're wanting? There you go.
And so this enlarged area is what's represented by that long blue rectangle on the exhibit. With this additional space, Adibus can park all their buses at the facility. This will help them with maintenance and the other logistic issues they have in taking care of those buses. I would, if the commission doesn't have any questions, and I'll answer any questions you have. As you saw from my car, I recommend that the county does lease this additional space to Adibus. I will say this lease is for 20 years with an additional renewal of up to 20 years. The underlying lease that was done back in 2010 was for 40 years because there were several entities involved that had to be for that long, but that renewal term is again for an additional 40 years. So these renewal terms match up well. And the attorney for Adibus is in the meeting, Paul Swatch from Lawrence. So if you have any questions, her and I are here to answer any questions.
I have a question. It's just basically a legal question. Under contract law, the way I understand it, you have some sort of consideration, and I know this is not a charge, but shouldn't we list some sort of like $1 or something like that as far as contracts go? There's no consideration.
You know, you have to always have consideration. I was thinking there was some reference to some consideration we have here, but the property belongs to us, so we can lease it out of us. It's going to serve them well. I guess probably the consideration is the in-kind benefit that Ronnie County gets from having a well-established general transportation service.
Yeah, I understand. I just want to make sure that in the future, say 20 years from now, that there's no question about that.
Right. This dovetails into, and I did look at the underlying 40-year lease before I came down, but I didn't pay that close attention to that part of the lease. But this does dovetail with that underlying lease for 40 years, and I can go back and see if we have some kind of consideration, specifically mention of that. But those two leases really work together. This is really an amendment of that underlying lease to the larger parking lot. So I'll do some check on that and get back with the commission.
Well, it's just, I'm just curious because it's,
Right.
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 Commissioners, Clancy Holman, I like that council. It's a good question about consideration that actually even mutual change the promises.
Kind of muffled.
Sorry, good question about consideration, but actually the mutual exchange of promises, that's enough for consideration. You do not need representation. That's a traditional way of doing it, but you don't need to worry. There's nothing wrong with that. Perfectly okay, prepared to check into it, see exactly what nail it down. That is enforced. There's no question.
That's good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Need a motion if the board would like to approve the lease.
I move that the board approve the lease agreement to expand the ATA bus parking lot as submitted.
I would second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman.
I had the same question.
They do. All contracts.
Thank you, Ann. Take care. I don't know, Rich, you may have to adopt Clancy's tab system.
What's that?
My fingers don't want to seem to work on those tabs anymore. I need to get old man tabs or something. Maybe getting to that point. So we'll go ahead and move back to business, and we'll go ahead and get the minutes snuck in here before Russell. Let me know when everybody's ready, and we'll move through those.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start with page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. And that's it for pages.
Get a motion?
I would make a motion to accept the minutes as printed for March 1st, 2021.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next commissioner, you have Russell at 9:15.
Okay, and I have nothing for the tentative agendas of press conference as well.
Okay. You guys okay on tentative agendas and press conference, commissioners? Okay, go ahead, Russell. Well, actually, you got 30 seconds left, I think.
He's trying to rush.
Slow as he's slow.
Finish talking.
Yeah, I just kind of got into a cold brush pile, still smoldering, creating a lot of smoke, but we have to put it out.
You had to.
We would have
Oh,
put it out, but it's.
but it did for some residential structures.
Oh, I don't know. It was in the area of some residential structures. I don't know. Understanding is. We'll agree that.
Oh, boy. Well, it's 9:15. Let's start with something else.
Russell Stuckey, Riley County EM Fire. So, couple of things, I've got a resignation of our part-time planner. So I would. Or you have the whole sheet, Rich?
Yes, I do.
Is that staying a part-time position as budgeted?
As right now,
Okay, okay.
come budget time, I'm gonna ask for something.
You may or may not get something.
Right.
You have the ultimate power of suggestion.
Okay, okay. I had forgotten that he was actually part-time to begin with, so that's why I asked that, but, okay. Just while we have you here on this particular position, even though it's part-time, explain exactly what the duties are a little bit.
That position assists with the planning, updating of the plans and so like, for example, they would, anytime, every so many years, we have to update on different plans, whether it's to have a mitigation plan, county emergency operations plan. And they can also assist in some grant writing. The previous employee did a lot of exercise planning, helped plan exercises and develop those exercises. Other duties as assigned. So like for vaccination clinics or testing, they help set up cones, lights.
This says it's grant funded. Is that grant through the end of this year or?
It's annually, it's been a grant that's been around for 20+ years. It's the Emergency Management Performance Grant. And so it's from FEMA, distributed through the state. And there's a formula that each county, if they do the things they need to do, have the right number of exercises, have approved, their plans approved by KDM. There's a checklist of things you gotta do to be approved for it, but it's a continuous type of grant.
Oh boy, plans approved with the State Department. Keep in mind, that means it doesn't have a fiscal impact on, yeah, okay.
I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Read, please.
Other item is out of state travel request for the radio training as part of the Harris contract. Training in Luncheon.
Yeah. I believe that training was supposed to happen last year, but due to COVID, that's been pushed out to, I guess, next.
It's May 1st.
Okay.
And they offered a post could have went. Could have went a couple of times between now and then. That's one. There's 4 of us that'll go. One from K-State, 2 from dispatch.
Questions, commissioners, on the out-of-state travel request, or?
Those are part of
Like
this.
to approve it, I need a motion.
I would make a motion to approve the out-of-state travel request for Russell Stuckey for radio training.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Russell.
Yep.
Next, Commissioner, you have Greg McHenry at 9:30.
All right.
Did I pronounce your name like Stuckey or is it
Stuckey.
Okay.
That's not pronunciation of his name.
Names.
Lionel, they'll see.
You got both names on that.
I know, I did the other day, it's trying to write up the EOC, the joint EOC, because they can't cover it. And it's still two different. So, we got it.
So, at the top was out.
Okay.
And then three can.
So brush pile or regular?
Hey, sorry.
Yeah. It contained, but it was in the area of residential structures. Super sweet, like Raleigh and Ogden. Oh, let's see, birds. I'm worried my dad is going to be a COPD.
Oh,
Inside.
probably.
Or maybe it'll just be really windy.
Well,
I'll look through the wind.
If, unless the forecast doesn't. Forecast is the same.
Thanks.
Yeah. I don't know if it's any
That's what the first step should be on finding that. The subject is a little too obvious in
And what is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw Mount Modes. I was like, wow.
Yesterday, and I'll really follow it. It was there. It was more dust than anything.
It's natural.
Right, yeah.
Now it's just more. Section.
I guess we're, okay, yeah. Right, yeah. Okay. Right. Like, oh my God. That's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew they did it, I mean, it's natural, I don't live in California, so my sister, up at the redwoods, you know, they said that forest fires are natural, actually said right now, but they are natural disasters. So,
Sure. My hometown. Last weekend, they went up to buy.
yeah,
So much checks and probably. They're not first silence.
that far.
Because they can buy the same house. Or three times.
Yes.
Around like
Okay, so my sister's boyfriend grew up in California. And he, I said, they're looking to go to the they're just tired of weather, tired. I don't know the politics, it's not as much, but.
So I'm calling to confirm that I have diabetes.
Did you take a test for diabetes? Wow.
It was, I thought it was medical.
Oh,
I knew it was a telemarketer, but, you know, it's much more I'll answer.
if I see a local usually a local area code like 913 or 620 or, you know,
Yeah,
785.
this is 785.
Yeah, I'll answer those. If it's anything outside of that, I don't. If it's important, I figure they'll leave me a message and I'll be glad to give them a call back.
There's so many healthcare things.
Oh, I know.
Right now.
It's gonna be that way for quite some time, I have a feeling.
Yeah, you know this.
I've been interested in the email traffic that I'll be getting on those subjects here lately too. They get a lot of spam, but some specific ones just kind of, yeah.
Yeah, if you're on the Medicare program.
Yeah, but you have to do this, this, and this for this and amount of time, so.
Like. The one I really like is, oh, well, your social security number, you're under investigation, we've stopped your social.
Yeah.
security.
You know what's wrong when they get your name, they spelled my name wrong.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna really take you serious. Right.
Joan, or what?
They spelled it with 2 H's. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm really gonna take that one seriously, guys, yeah. I had a chance to watch Monday's meeting on YouTube. I thought it looked good.
It looks good. So I put the new microphones in, everything sounds fantastic at the moment. Still working at the podium just a little bit. It's still hard to hear people because they sit like this. So I'm still kind of working it out.
I kind of sounded like I was going through puberty, but that's going to happen at some point in time. So maybe Monday's okay on that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that weird, so rock and roll. You got like bushy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just checking the settings because Shelley Williams is supposed to be screen sharing. So coming out here. So
Yeah, I was gonna, are you working with all the department heads on tweaks on that, or just most of the ones that are usually on Zoom?
just anybody that has that kind of issue, we've been working with them. I mean, we talked to Julie,
Yeah.
talked to John. I mean, pretty much anybody who has had an issue, we've talked to already. John sounded fantastic.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Julie sounded great on at least when I went back
On Monday?
on Monday, she sounded good, from my perspective, of course, but.
I'm trying really hard to make it, it's probably about as good as it's gonna get right now. Everything else is, I mean, it sounds pretty good. Actually, it's like what it was before when we were working with, we had the microphone in the middle, so we can hear you, and we can hear Bruce, or we can hear everybody now. So it's like the mix of both of them kind of, so we're just gonna tweak it and kind of figure out what I like.
Fortunately for you, we got the quiet people in the middle.
It's okay. Do you want to emphasize that people want their masks?
Yes, yes. And I do need to do that, and I have it, so that's on.
You're fine. I've noticed that some of the people are a little quieter, but Charlotte, she's really loud. So it's just trying to find a happy medium where it kind of gets heard and it's just trying to work it out.
It seems like to me that maybe these are just outdated, maybe to start with.
Well, they go to the speakers.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, it is what it is at this point.
So were you able to hear me? I know, it's right there.
I did on Monday. You and Greg sounded great. Me, like I said, I sounded like I was going through puberty, but depending on who you talk to, I mean, that's going to happen at some point in time. So,
Well, I'm trying to be
Yeah,
clearer
yeah,
and
yeah.
a little louder.
I think having a couple of spread out mics here is makes a big difference. Yeah.
The best thing is that it kind of picks up both of them. So if you talk, it'll kind of pick up on the other one as well. So it kind of balances that, makes them black. So it kind of.
What are you saying? I need to be quieter?
Totally fine.
Can we tell how the sound's going out there? Is it going
Yeah.
better?
It's going good.
I went back Monday and looked at it, and it sounded good, everybody except for me, but it's a work in progress. It's okay. It's okay.
So let's go over today. If you guys want to, when we get everything done, and just let me know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I listened to it for 30, 45 minutes over there, and it sounded.
Yeah. I like how we're finally able to start kind of incorporating the people on Zoom so people can see it on there.
Yeah, and it's actually switching in Zoom as well, so you can on YouTube, it actually switches to.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and that's a big one for me, so.
I know what, I'll try that today. I haven't
Yeah,
watched one in a while just to see how it's been.
If you actually go on that channel and subscribe, it'll automatically bring it up on whatever device you subscribe to if you're on YouTube, so. I know we're live because I leave my phone on there and I hear it beep. Okay, we're at 9:30, so I see Greg back there. You may, as we were discussing, you may take off your mask to speak.
I will do that just so you can see that I do have an expression on my face.
Yeah, we know. I remember those days.
Yeah. It's hard to smile with your eyes.
Yeah.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
Let me pull this back.
On the bottom. He's trying to pull his
Oh,
stuff out.
hit that minimum line there.
There we go.
There you go.
We have several deadlines coming up I want to talk about this morning a little bit. One of them is the filing deadline for personal property forms to be filed in our office. That is March 15th. We've gotten about 61% of the 3,600 forms roughly back so far, and that's a good pace. Like everything else, we get a bunch of them right at the filing deadline. So, probably within a day or two, March 15th, that number would be more like 95 or 96%. We did send out reminders to folks. We sent out a postcard about a week ago to those folks who haven't filed. That's something we started doing a few years ago, and it seems to be popular. People like having that simple reminder. It's a pretty cost-effective way of letting them know they may have thought they filed, but we haven't received it yet. We get a lot of those kinds of calls. Of course, those personal property forms are simply their way of letting us know whether they still have that personal property that they pay taxes on a year ago. The 2021 real estate change value notices, or CVNs, were mailed February 12th. And as you know, we typically try to mail ours out about 2 weeks in advance of that March 1st filing deadline. And it just gives everyone a little breathing room in terms of us holding appeals. But more importantly, lets us certify with the county clerk's office earlier so that they can start working on that budget process just a little bit earlier as well. There is a 30-day sign-up period from the date of the mailing. So that deadline is also March 15th. And we have already begun holding those informal appeals. We call them informal appeals, that's actually how they're referred to in statute, because they are informal. You're actually meeting with or talking to in this year with the appraiser who actually set the value. And it's just an exchange of information. We want to make sure that our value is accurate because we're graded on that every year. So there is no hesitation to make changes, look at the value differently than we did when we set it, et cetera, as we exchange information. A lot of times we find for residential properties, somebody maybe has a foundation issue that can't be seen from the outside, or they think we've overestimated maybe the amount of finished basement area in their house. And that's an opportunity for us to make sure it's accurate, that it's right, and then the value is what it is. So they're very informal and usually well received. So far this year, we have 119 informal appeals, which is a low number, a little bit lower than a year ago. And I was saying the same thing a year ago. I think there are probably a couple of reasons for that. One is I believe people are in our community are pretty aware of how active the real estate market has been. And they've seen their neighbor's house sell, They're just a lot more informed maybe than some communities. And there has been a lot of activity in the residential market in particular. I do think a little bit of publicity, some help from Alice, actually. She did a great job of putting some information on social media for us that kind of explain what the appraisal process is versus what the tax process is. And I think that's helped as well. But again, March 15th is that filing deadline. We can hold the appeals later than March 15th, but if anyone is interested in holding an appeal, they need to file by March 15th. I'd like to remind people that the Parcel Search portion of the county's website has all of the data used for each property in the county. So if you're wanting to look at someone else's home value and see how it compares to yours, how the property characteristics compare, things like bedroom and bathroom count are going to be there, finished square footage, basement area, all those things are available 24/7 on the website. During that sign-up period, so through March 15th, sales information is also available to the general public. Unfortunately, in Kansas, that is the only time the general public can access sales information. The rest of the year, they are not able to. So only folks who are realtors, lenders, fee appraisers, and abstractors have access to sales information for the 12-month portion of the year. But we encourage people, if they're curious, if they are having an appeal, if they're thinking about it, please take advantage of that information that's out there. You're able to do some queries based on sale prices and areas and street names. So there are all sorts of ways that you can look up information and kind of judge based on those sales, roughly how your value compares to what the market is saying. So again, that's available through March 15th as well.
Where is that exactly on the webpage if someone wants to look it up?
Yeah, if you go to the appraiser's office website, that would be the quickest way. And you can get to Parcel Search through that. You can also get there through the GIS website. So if you look up your property on GIS as an example, click on the property identification number and it'll take you right into Parcel Search.
Okay.
And you can go back and forth between the two. That's a pretty popular way to, maybe people don't know the street address, but they know where it is. So they use GIS to kind of find it and then get into a Parcel Search. Very, very easy to use once you get there. We also include some other documents for commercial properties like the income approach appraisal, the cost approach appraisal. There are comparable sales sheets for homes, for residential properties. And I always encourage people to take a look at that comp sheet, as we call it, because that's going to show, in most cases, the comparables that we use to set that value. And very good information. It's free and it's available through March 15th. Again, we started holding the 2021 informal appeals February 23rd, actually. We talked about 30 days. There are kind of three levels of appeals. Informal appeal is the first level. For those folks who are not satisfied with the results that are informal, they can go to what we call small claims. And small claims is typically, an attorney from the Board of Tax Appeals, always done by phone. Each side gets 10 to 15 minutes to kind of present their case. And within 2 weeks, a decision comes from that hearing officer. We found that that's a very popular and cost-effective way for folks who aren't satisfied with those results to take it to the next level. We typically don't have a lot of those. We might have 20 to 25 of those in a typical spring. Those start occurring in May and June. Usually we're done with those by about the 1st of July. So that would be the next step after the informals. We also, in Kansas, you have 2 opportunities to appeal your property. We always encourage folks to use the informal level if they can, because that's focused on the value and the notice of value that was sent out. And it also lets everyone get those results prior to budgets being set, those things that occur later in the year that could be impacted by changes in value. But if they don't do that, they can do a payment under protest when they get their tax bill in the fall. And it is also an informal appeal. But the only difference is you have to pay at least the first half of your property taxes to be able to access that appeal. But again, it's going to be with the appraiser who set the value for your property, same format as the informal appeals. And the second level is the same for those as well. We did 35 payment under protests, or PUPs as we call them, for 2020. And those were a result of first half taxes. 17 of those were residential, 17 were commercial. Those numbers are pretty typical. The overall number is down. Usually we have about 60, 65 PUP hearings. So we have fewer of those. That's a little surprising. We had a school district with a big bond issue and quite a jump in mill levy. I kind of expected that might affect our appeal count, if nothing else. But again, I think folks are more aware than some communities of what's going on in the real estate market. We try to talk about that and advertise it as much as we can, so folks do understand that. But I think that's in a positive way that's affected our appeal count as well. The hypothetical lease fee or dark store bill was introduced by Representative Carlin, and I believe it's either at or on its way to House taxation. She introduced it in another committee, and they typically send it to the committee that deals with those issues. No word yet, as far as I know, on hearing date, but it could be any minute. We typically are the last ones to know when they're scheduled. But
what's the number on that again?
Gosh, I should have put that in there. I don't remember that.
I never did see a number on it.
Clancy will probably tell us. Yeah. I'm not sure that I have a number actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when you do, either you or Clancy send that to us.
Clancy's got it.
Will do. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's what I want to
That's a good question. Yeah. We'll make sure that all of you get that. It is something that I encourage you to follow. It. I think it could get a decent, maybe a good reception on the House side. The Senate side would be a lot more difficult. But
I'm going to say impossible.
Yeah,
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Judging by their work with the new ABOTA appointee, I'm not hopeful there at all.
Yeah, I don't think that's gone well so far. I believe they were doing that this week, if I remember.
Yeah, they tabled it for further discussion, whatever that means.
And that's a problem. Right now, as has been the case since July 1st, BOCC's only got one hearing officer.
Yeah.
Now, the director at BOCC on an interim basis can fill in and has been, so he's kind of been doing two jobs. But they desperately need to fill the CPA position and the appraisal position. I've heard that there's a likely candidate for the CPA position that might not be opposed, but so far, I believe the lady from Topeka, so far I haven't seen a hearing for her appointment.
I would think they'd get through the first one first before moving on to the next one.
Yeah, I would agree.
Getting kind of late in the legislative cycle for that too, so that may not happen this year.
And if it doesn't, that backlog, I think it won't happen, to be honest. And if it doesn't, that backlog is going to get greater. We just held our 2018 Home Depot case about a month ago. And I know there are a couple of counties that have 2017 appeals still waiting to be heard. So it's beyond ridiculous.
And they're stacking up.
But we're kind of waiting to see what the Senate decides to do. Compliance results are extremely important to our office. There's a procedural compliance score, which is based on our studies, our analysis, basically our appraisal processes. And they audit that, look through those on a monthly basis. There are certain deadlines for each phase of it. And then the ratio study, at the end of the day, really determines if our values are accurate or not. And those results are issued annually, and they are based on a calendar year. The results come to our office. You'll all get a copy at the same time. And then eventually they go to the governor's office and it's publicized for use by folks in Topeka, including the legislature. I'm not sure how much the legislature spends in terms of time reading it or understanding it, but it's very, very important to us, and I think should be to our community, because it tells folks whether or not we're doing a good job and how well we're doing it or not doing it. So we look forward to getting those results. The preliminary results were sent out to us about 2 months ago, I guess, right at the end of the year. And based on the preliminary results, we'll be in that top 2 or 3 in the state in terms of residential ratio, which is one of our goals. And commercial ratio should be within compliance. But like all of the growing counties, we struggle to meet that 90% threshold on commercial properties. There just aren't as many sales, for one thing. And the other problem is, many of those commercial properties, those bigger commercial properties, end up at BOTA. And if BOTA reduces the value and it sells later for a lot more than what we had it appraised for, we get a bad ratio. We've started to see that already.
Even when BOTA's lowered it.
Yeah,
BOTA sells to the higher number, you're
exactly
knocked down. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. And when we go to BOTA now,
so far.
Like all of the kind of larger county group, I'll call them, we hire and reject a third party appraisal. So Keller and Associates typically does ours. It's pretty common for their value to be slightly higher than ours. We're a bit conservative usually. We don't want our ratios to be above 100%, but we need to be above 90. So our values are a little bit less than theirs are typically. And the tax reps can ask for about 45 or 50% of whatever our value is. So if BOTA lowers its amount and sells for more than our value, that's a pretty bad ratio. We're looking at 60% ratio. That's a problem, and it's that argument's kind of lost on the legislature. I think they still believe that we are over appraising commercial properties when it's exactly the opposite. We're having a hard time meeting those thresholds, and that's important to property owners. Usually about 85% of the property owners in the county are residential and farm ag, so they make up the bulk of the tax roll. Now, in terms of value, commercial properties can have significant value, but in terms of the numbers of parcels, it typically is residential and farm or ag. So anytime one class of property is not appraised at market value, it shifts the burden to everyone else. And that's been occurring here in our county for about 3 years. Hopefully, the results at BOTA kind of go back to normal, and they kind of rule objectively. For most of my career, when you went to BOTA, it was fair for both sides. They ruled based on the evidence presented that day, and we were happy with that. We didn't go to BOTA unless we were 99% sure our value is accurate, because it is taxpayer dollars involved, and we just simply don't want to go there with an inaccurate value. There's no need for that. That's changed in the last 3.5, 4 years. We're hoping some changes and appointments at BOTA will reverse that tide a little bit and make it more objective and not partisan as well. But we will be getting those final compliance results again probably sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And make sure that you've got a copy. And if you have any questions about it when you get it, please let me know, and I'd be happy to answer those questions. Our procedural compliance score typically is 98, 99%. We're still shooting for 100. They seem to find reasons to gate us just a little bit every year, but that was still, again, put us in the top 2 or 3 statewide. The good weather we're having this week is very much appreciated by my crew. They are ready and willing to hit the field for a couple of reasons. During the months of January, February, and March, we typically don't do our annual review because our system has to be locked in place until we're done with our appeals. And we don't work sales during that period of time for the same reason. However, since we've been using the tablets in the field, we are able to store that information and then download it at a point in the future. So that is allowing us, especially this year, to get an early start on our field work, which we are always happy for. I try to build in a certain number of days for bad weather and vacations and all those kinds of things, but sometimes it's a challenge to meet those deadlines for field work by the end of the year with all those things in play. This gives us a little bit of breathing room, and we're actually out this week doing the beginning portion of that field work, and looks like the next week or two should be nice enough that we'll continue to do that kind of in and around our appeals. With that low appeal count, it'll allow us to probably spend half of our time, at least on the residential side, doing field work. So we're appreciative of that. There is a significant amount of new construction going on still. They're still building apartment buildings and apartment complexes here. And that's kept us very busy on the commercial side of things. Again, we're keeping a close eye on the real estate market. The residential continues to be very active, and you could say that nationally as well. I read a lot of our appraisal industry publications. That's a national trend. It's just been more consistent probably in our community over a longer period of time than some of those areas, but residential housing is selling well. Length of time in the market is shorter than it would have been a year ago. Inventory is tight. There are more buyers than there are sellers right now, and that's kind of been the case for several months. March 1st, typically in our market, is when we start seeing those kind of new prices. When realtors are listing properties, if there's going to be a bump up in appreciation or increase in price range, usually we see that about March 1st, because that buying season for our county is mostly between March 1st and about the end of August. We do have sales later in the year, but the majority of them kind of occur in that time frame. So we'll have a little more information for you in April as to how that bump up in price may look compared to a year ago. But also take some look at the inventory numbers and length of time in the market too. It's a very, very active market so far. We've already had 119 real estate sales in 2021 through the end of February. 97 of those were home sales, and the median sale price for homes was $202,500. Average was $217,921. It's not been very long ago, about 2 years ago, when that median was about 189 to 192. So that's really jumped up there a little bit, and the average sale price was closer to 200,000. We've seen a little bit of change in pricing for those entry-level homes. If you can find a home for $200,000 or less, ranch-style home with 3 bedrooms and 1 or 2 baths, it's in good shape. It probably isn't going to be on the market very long if it doesn't have issues or isn't in a neighborhood that maybe would be less than desirable. That is still a very, very popular home to sell and to buy as well. The upper level homes, and we continue to see sales of those. One of the questions I always get is, why would you pay $600,000 to $800,000 for a house when you could build one yourself and make it, custom to what your needs are? It's amazing how many of those homes we see sell, and then they spend $100,000 to $150,000 remodeling it after they get it. So they still are doing a custom home. It's just they have a starting place versus starting from scratch. And I think the other thing that comes into play is some of those homes are in areas where the specials are either paid off or they're maybe 50% through that period of time before specials. That has become a bigger and bigger issue on the market as well. People are not too excited about entering into houses with 20 years of specials to look forward to at $3,200 a year or $3,500 a year. So we've seen kind of a shift in people trying to find homes that provide the same function, but maybe have been around a little longer and either don't have specials or they're closer to the payoff of those specials. And just wrapping up here, we still have a lengthy list of Board of Tax Appeals cases. And again, they are not moving, we're not even getting dates for the schedules yet on most of these. And as you can see, they're 2019 and 2020s. I expect that in a lot of cases, those that have 2019s will also end up with a 2020 appeal, and I'll do both of them in one day or 2 days. But right now, of course, we held the Home Depot one. The EMA case will come up here in about 4 weeks, I believe. None of the others even have a date for hearing, even though they've been filed months ago. So we'll keep you posted on that.
IHOP is in Riley County?
It is, yeah. IHOP is, there's a little bit of their parking lot that's in Potawatomi County. Yeah,
So it is a squiggly line here.
It is a very strange property line.
I hadn't seen that one on here on this list before. Just to put something in perspective here, when I came on 2 years ago, we had about 6 cases total.
Yeah.
So in 2 years, you can see where this trend is going, just for reference purposes.
That's a very good point. And as you can see, they're.
Don't expect they didn't do any last year.
Well, but you know, that's true. But if you look at
see, it's all 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all new ones. Yeah.
And why not? You know, a tax rep can file at no cost, basically, to themselves. They get paid if they get any kind of reduction. They get 50% of that reduction in tax dollars. So there are a lot of incentives for them to file. And, you know, the flavor of BOCC has been to either rule in their favor or come up with a value somewhere in between. So there's really minimal risk for them to file, and they're not filing truly based on arguments of value. They're really just trying to get taxes lower.
Just fishing for
And even those ones that are reduced in value, they come back the next year and they want 40 to 50% of that value. So you know, it's not about the value; it's about the tax dollars and a way for them to get paid.
And the other trend here too, if you notice, is you're already starting to see investment property on here.
yeah, right. Instead of just the big
And
bucks.
yeah, in terms of property here, when what 55-ish% is investment property, that's a big deal there. So
We're seeing, and a lot of folks predicted it, but we are seeing, you know, the expansion of that dark store, you know, beyond just big box retail. And I know we have a couple of big apartment complexes that are talking about that at the informal level this year. I wouldn't be surprised to see them file a vote and kind of use that same argument. At some point, where does it stop? You know, do we make that argument for our homes?
Yeah.
And does it have a 4-year life? And after that, we should value it as vacant? You know, that doesn't make a lot of.
I have a 100-year-old house, so I'd be in favor of that.
Yeah. That'd be a new version of homestead exemption. Yeah. But those are the issues we're facing. And until or unless, in my opinion, until or unless Modo decides to rule objectively based on the evidence presented, you know, that trend will probably continue. And Kansas is kind of at ground zero for the dark store debate. It's a national thing, but we have more cases than anyone except for Michigan, I believe, is the other state that has quite a few.
So the only way this can really be decided long-term is through the legislature.
You're exactly right, yeah. Yeah, if our dark store bill would pass, you know, that's not a guarantee that it would solve the debate, but it will at least allow us to make the argument in these photo cases that even though you didn't call that a dark store appraisal, it is, and here's why. And according to Kansas statute, you can't do that. Right now, we don't have that ability. So we're hopeful that, you know, that legislation gets a hearing, and we'll see what would happen when it goes to the Senate side. But that would help us quite a bit in my opinion.
That is House Bill 2402.
There you go. Yeah.
that's the same one as it was last
Looked it
year.
up while we were
Yeah.
here.
And it is, you're right, it is a holdover from last year. It did not get a hearing last year.
2402.
So if it gets a hearing this year, let's see, if it gets a hearing this year on the House side, if it doesn't go any further, they would still have it on the agenda potentially for next year. So
If it's in taxation, it's exempt anyway.
That's right, that's
So
right.
it won't
Yeah,
be-
we're meeting
yeah.
deadlines.
Okay,
That's where we're at. And,
thank you, Greg.
Yep, thank you, guys.
Let's see here. There you go.
That's interesting, with Genesis, we just gave them a tax. abatement, So,
Notice I mentioned that when we did that too. Okay.
we still want more.
Yeah,
Well, we're a little behind, commissioners, but I believe Shelley's on Zoom.
I see her up there. We'll let Tyler, right? Get her pulled up and there she is.
Morning.
That Christmas tree in the background?
No, just a decorative.
Oh, okay. It's okay if it is. I just,
It has a matching one over there. See? Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I will get started. As indicated in my commission agenda report, we are down to 3 juvenile intake and assessment on call, which is our after hours folks that cover 5 p.m. until 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, and then of course 24/7 on weekends and holidays. Ideally, I like to keep that roster of 6 to 8 individuals so they don't get burnout as quickly. However, I'm not asking you to officially approve the request to fill today because we discovered that we needed to update the job description. Since the last time that we hired, the Department of Corrections has put more things on our plate as far as requirements, and have a new database and some different things that we need to update the job description. I also reach out to my peers across the state to see how they are administering their after hours intakes as well as their pay, to see how we compare both in payment as well as, are there more efficient ways to be running it versus how we are doing it. I have heard back. I sent out an informal questionnaire on Monday and have heard back from all but 3, which is encouraging. I haven't had a chance to really analyze it and aggregate it because it really is all over the board. Some pay in 12-hour shifts, some pay per day, per week. And so in order to really compare where we fall out in comparison to our peers really needs to be the same level of measurement. And so I'm going to need to do some translation there to see how we fall out. Surprisingly, my on-call cost for the service is only about $15,000 a year, which considering what we get for that amount, I do feel like we have some room to, if we needed to make any adjustments in pay, we could certainly do that. So I will be back on Monday to talk to you more in detail about on-call needs moving forward.
We have some information that'll be provided on the agenda for that before we discuss it.
Yes, so we will hopefully have finalized the changes to the job description as well as the goal sheet for the request to fill. So hopefully that will all be done and submitted. Actually, today's Thursday, before 3 o'clock today for the Monday's meeting. Are there other questions on juvenile intake and assessment on call? Okay, if not, I will move on to the next topic I wanted to cover with you folks this morning. As you may recall, we received a grant at the end of October. We were a sub-grantee with Clay Counts, which is a prevention coalition in Clay Center. They reached out to us to see if we had a need. It is the KDHE opioid grant that has been out for a couple of years. And the Prevention Coalition was very gracious in reaching out to us to see if we had any needs to combat not only, opioid use, but drug use as across the board. And so the grant is to implement random drug testing in Clay Center for our felony offenders. To have random drug testing, you have to have staff available in the office from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. And that's just not possible with a one-man shop. So the sheriff's office, there is a new sheriff in town in Clay County, and met with him before he took office, and as well as the outgoing sheriff, and they were willing to partner with us to provide this service. Corrections officers will be trained. We will purchase all the drug testing supplies, cover the shipments to the laboratory, pay for lab confirmations. We are also providing the storage for both the supplies as well as the positive drug tests that then need to be shipped to the lab. So the corrections officers essentially will administer and witness the collection of the drug test. They will document in the database and package those positives for shipping when necessary. We did have to make a last minute change to the contract this week because they have a significantly smaller amount of female corrections staff members than they do male. And so in order to meet the needs of both the felony female drug testing of clients and the corrections officers, we're having to make a few tweaks and randomize it as much as possible on those shifts where he does have female officers available. And we think that we'll be able to just make some small adjustments in how we do it and make it still as random as possible within those timeframes that he has female corrections officers on board. The commission in Clay Center did review and authorized his signature of the document on Monday of this week. And so once hopefully you folks approve it and authorize my signing. And then there is a piece where on all contracts, we have an addendum that goes with all of them, standard conditions that requires your signature. So we're hoping to get started next week. We've already began purchasing those supplies because, again, the money has been there. We've just been negotiating the terms of the contract and logistics. But hope to start that, if not next week, the week after. And does anybody have any questions about that?
So we do need a motion on the contract, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I question. I'd approve Raleigh County Community Corrections to engage in a contract for random drug testing with Clay County Sheriffs.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Does anybody have any further questions, dialogue for Shelley? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, folks, very much.
Shelley,
Up now, Commissioners, is Amanda.
okay,
Have a good day.
you too.
Hey.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, we're a little behind, Amanda, sorry.
All right, good morning. I'm Amanda Starr, Planning Director. So here with my staff update here. So I have a lot of information here in the packet for you, and we'll talk about that. I just want to hit some of the highlights of things that we did in February here. I always like to talk about the CDBG job retention grant. We were able to help another business, not school. I did hear from the state, I believe it was yesterday, they approved it, we should hopefully receive those funds in 10 to 14 days. And we will get those over to Not School, so I'm happy to report that we were able to assist another business through that grant. I still have a little bit of money, so again, want to plug that applications are due June 30th, so we still have some time. If there's anybody you know of or whatnot, please send them my way. There is information on our website as well that you can guide them to. But again, I'm happy to talk to anybody and see if we can get some folks, additional businesses helped. Let's see, again, I always like to talk about the land development regulations that we are working on. We're working again through the graphics and some text changes as has come out from after we're working with Stantec, as you know, on the graphics, and through that review, we've realized there are a few things in the text that probably need amendment. So we're still kind of doing some, again, the graphics and last minute text changes, tweaks and things like that. It's taking a little bit longer than we had originally hoped, but we're still optimistic for a summer adoption once we get the graphics completed, which will hopefully again be in the next couple of weeks. Bob and I will come up with a schedule for the public meeting and adoption process through our different boards, of course, for with you folks. So I'll keep you updated on that. Just want to highlight again, of course, the Next Gen 911 committee made our presentation with you folks last week, and we will have some more information as per your request this coming Monday. We'll do another presentation with that information, hopefully get you everything you need. And then again, just kind of formalize our request for direction on that one once we give you the information. And certainly if you need any more, we're happy to provide that. Let's see, just a few things on here again. I'm not going to touch on everything, but I'm definitely happy to answer any questions, clarifications, anything you might have. Of course, as you know, you did approve an as-needed clerical assistant position for planning and development. We have received several qualified applicants. We are interviewing a handful next week. So we're really excited that that is moving forward. We have some good candidates that we're able to chat with next week, and hopefully we can get that worked out here pretty soon and somebody on board. Solid Waste Management Committee, we met last month, of course, in February a couple times to do our annual review of the solid waste management plans we are mandated by the state to do. There will be a few minor modifications in there. As a reminder, we did a full update in 2019 because we're required to do every 5 years a full update of the plan. So certainly not a whole lot will need to be changed. A few minor amendments, text. Obviously, there's changes to committee members, things like that. So we'll touch on some of that. So that should be before you folks at the end of the month to do your resolution, and then we'll get that transferred to the state for their final approval. It is due April 13th, which is a lot earlier this year, but I don't have a concern that we'll be able to meet that deadline. Let's see, what else did I want to highlight on? Okay, so the big report that is in your packet, that took up most of the packet this time. I won't necessarily address anything today. I want to provide that to you to take a look at, and if there's any questions or whatnot you'll have. I am planning for a planning and development, planning and development 101 on March 15th before you folks, and that's where I would like to address any comments or questions you have about that report. So again, that gives you time to look through it and see what we've been up to this last year. Lisa does a great job getting that put together. So definitely, if you have any thoughts or questions, let me know on that one.
Yeah, two things on that. I would prefer to have a hard copy of that.
Absolutely.
And you might want to go through and update names and positions on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not going to print off 50 something.
Right.
Yeah,
we will definitely.
I would appreciate that.
Okay. Let's see. I think that was the majority of what I wanted to mention today. So I am happy to take any questions if you have them.
I don't have any. Any other two commissioners? Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you, Amanda.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks for getting us back on time.
Yeah. And I'm gonna make a recommendation, Rich, that we start giving Greg 30 minutes.
We can. Last time he went short, remember we bumped him up.
Of each of the last 2 months, and with everything going on, they've gone over 30 minutes. I've timed it.
I know, but I know I've had other commissioners' concerns coming on board, too much dead time as well. So I need the three of you to decide if you want more time or not.
Yeah. Like I say, it runs long one time and short the next, and I know that's.
Now, in terms of the agenda, I would rather it run long. That's just me.
Yeah, it seems like we're running pretty good, you know, as far as if someone has to wait 5 or 10 minutes, I don't think that's.
I don't mind a couple of minutes, but I would prefer not 5 or 10.
I just know when we had the two new commissioners come on, that was comments about too much dead time. And so I need at least two of you to make an agreement on which way we need to go.
They just did monthly.
Yeah, but you know, with BOCC cases and with stuff going on in the legislature, I mean, our discussions, I think he probably had about 25 minutes just in staff time alone, and then our discussion time after that.
So would the commissioners like to go to 30 minutes at the appraiser's office or leave it as it is?
Well, once his tax season is pretty much over, are we gonna go back to shorter reports then, or?
With him, not usually. There's usually something going on with him pretty much throughout the year. But I think we had it at 15 at one point in time, and we realized that was really, really short. And then we moved it up to where we moved it up now, and I'm noticing we're going. I don't care about a couple of minutes or within a 5-minute period, but when we start getting up to 10 or so, I just don't think it's respecting everybody else's time that comes after it.
Did you see the dilemma we have many times Clancy will go way under. So if we're juggling the system around based on each individual needs time, remember.
Well, normally Clancy's usually at 9 or 9:15 and comes before.
Other staffs behind that too, regularly on the agenda as well, but we'll do whatever two of you would like for us to do.
So what are the timeframes that we've had in the past? We go over that again as far as the grade.
Well, it was about 15
It was
minutes.
15.
Typically, it's somewhere in that time
And he
frame.
was consistently going over then, so that's why we moved it. He was going into planning and development time was who used to be right after him.
So we're at 20 now?
We're at 20.
I counted this morning at 31 with all of our discussion.
Well, maybe if we went to 25, that's kind of in between.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's good at 25. Yeah, let's
Okay.
see how that works. Give that a few
See
tries.
how it goes.
And I'm going to count the 2 minutes we went over here too for Clancy's time on this discussion.
You're gonna need that to fill up 20 minutes. Good idea. Good morning, Kristen.
Morning.
Clancy Holman, Raleigh County Counselor. The first item I just wanted to address is just follow up the discussion on the Adams lease. Craig verified, double checking the lease. Really just getting, the consideration in that lease was specifically as identified the performance of covenants and agreements. You just got 3 different ways of saying what we're talking about. Craig was correct, it's mutual benefit, that's one way of looking at it. You just have to have an actual exchange of obligations by each party, what it amounts to. No requirement that it be. It's still traditional, very often you see it even in leases today, $1 is sufficient consideration. That's quite frankly a matter more of form and what people have gotten used to, nothing wrong with it. But it's not essential to the enforcement. So, good question. Those kind of questions are valuable because, quite frankly, an organization like ours has been around for a bit, has had plenty of agreements, has had turnover and attrition. Perfectly okay to readdress those things. I'll never hesitate to ask those questions. I'm serious. It enables us also to find out if perhaps we need to tighten up on something. We're always willing to do
And I always look at, where there'll be other commissioners, there'll be other staff over there. I just wanted to make sure it was clear that they wouldn't ever have to pay a lease amount. So
No, and
that's what I was concerned about.
Absolutely, and that's perfectly okay. Nothing wrong. Never reject those questions. Particularly as in this case, where Craig went to my work for me and found the answer. You heard already from Greg some of what I probably will talk about a little bit, just to give you no further action at this time on North Shore. They could, as he said correctly, could pop up at any time. And that's why I mentioned last time I'll be submitting to you for review at some point. And some draft testimony for you to consider. You might as well get ready.
As I mentioned, since text to that 2402 again, that's the same one as last year, but as I mentioned to Greg, that's in a taxation committee, so it's above the line already. So
it's not going to go away. We're busy enough this week with other matters for date. Could get set for next week. Yeah. Don't think that's going to happen. It might as well be.
I have a feeling that they're going to hold off on that due to, I guess, the very rigorous discussion they're having over the BOTA appointee over on the Senate side. So
could easily be, and they've got plenty of other items to engage their attention. So I don't know if this is going to pop up on the radar screen for them. Probably not, since they know it's safe.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
We'll see. I say that now. I've jinxed it. And we just said
so that's on you then.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'll let you SB 273. KAC or lobbyists, anybody giving some guidance on what that's going to look like in the House? Because something's passing on that. There's just no getting around it.
Yeah, probably. I assume so. Take the word on it, but I have not heard.
Okay. It looks like to me, at least on the Senate side, that that's going to be veto proof too. Because it passed 27-12. That gives them a veto majority.
Well, the interesting thing about that, I'm hearing both things from people who should know. I'm hearing those veto proof. Then I've heard they're not sure they've got enough votes in at least one chamber.
Okay. So that would be on the House side.
Be on the House side. Okay. So there's some ambiguity. At least that's what they're saying. It's not a done deal. But it's a bill that's not a great idea. So it'll have some traction, I would assume, based on history.
Which one? You just referred to a number. I don't.
The Emergency Management Act.
Oh, okay.
And that's
yeah, they got to jump.
I don't keep the numbers straight.
What bill number was that again?
273.
270.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a yeah, and I've got it in the office, but I don't remember. I'm going to say it's 21. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember all the numbers myself either.
I don't remember a few of the numbers. I just know by the title. I'm trying to keep track by the title.
I don't remember my number. You separate divisions once in a while, but on that one, there is a companion piece. It's not identical on the House side.
Sorry, Clancy, but you're really hard to hear, and I'm just thinking of out there.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
No problem. It's okay. We'll take the mask out.
Yeah. We're going to have to start doing that for people to hear. So I know you're probably not comfortable with that.
No, it doesn't bother me. It's just people downrange. Yeah.
It's just John.
Yeah.
Well, also keep in mind, for just references purposes, 3 of us right here are, I think, vaccinated for whatever that's worth.
And today's 2 weeks.
Right.
Okay.
Tomorrow will be full 2 weeks too. So
that matters. Okay. So in any event, we'll have to see where 273 goes. We'll have to see where the companion bill does on the House side. And I assume these are the ones that are going to, but I shouldn't assume this. Normally you would think that they do a conference on these. Doesn't sound like
it won't, because they've got to act on this before the 31st, because part of that equation is the state emergency management declaration.
Yep.
Does that get extended? Does that not get extended? If there's some variance in between there. So that's going to have to be decided pretty quick, because they're still going to have time to go through the regular state finance council and all those other entities that are incorporated into it. So I would expect movement on that this week, in all honesty. And then it's got to go through the formal process with the governor too. She could lay the pin down for 10 days and let it go, or veto it immediately, which I get the indication that's what she's going to do, but, and then it has to go back through that process again. So something's going to have to be decided on that pretty quickly, I would think.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're correct. The real deadline, as has been stated last time, the real deadline for them is
Yeah.
on some of these pieces of legislation.
And for us,
Yeah.
that directly impacts us on that one
The
too.
real key there is, as our lobbyist has indicated to Emergency Management Director Russell Student, is that those stakeholders, they're basically, they have credibility beyond ordinary government employees because it is a non-profit. They don't even have a lobbyist on site at the State House, which is I was not aware of. And they have potentially the ability to really have an impact on the public and legislators about what's this going to do to them being able to do their job. What are those restrictions? What are they going to mean? What are they going to? How's it going to have a detrimental impact? And I think that's a powerful argument they can make.
I think from a funding for resource mechanism to the rest of this pandemic, that's huge. So if that off the table, I think you get to the point where you're going to have to start incorporating some of your own resources because you probably won't get them back through FEMA or another process at that point in time. So that changes the equation pretty drastically, and maybe that's the point, sadly. But yeah.
They don't seem to be too afraid at the legislative level. Recent history about unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Whether or not how much of it is what they want and how much of it is what happens because of what they did.
Right. That's why you have a difference between a legislative process, which is supposed to be slow and encumbering that process, and the executive side to make quick and effective decisions when you need to make quick and effective decisions. And I think some people have lost sight of the way those two mechanisms are supposed to work. That's just my opinion, for what that's worth too.
So this bill is the one that limits the use of emergency powers, is that the one?
Correct.
Okay.
It's being promoted by some. Some are seeing it primarily a means of undermining the governor's authority, or restricting it, whether you think it's undermining or restricting. Certainly it's restricting the governor's authority, putting it back in the legislature, which, as the chairman said, seems a little counterintuitive if you're trying to deal with a fast changing situation.
Right.
You don't have a bunch of committees.
Yeah, and not even a pandemic. I mean, you have a tornado, you have a fire, you have a flood, a flash flood, right? You have to make immediate snap of your finger type decisions. You know, what if a tornado happens in June when the legislature's not in session?
That's what I was going to say.
Right.
When legislature's in place for so many months.
Yeah, Mother Nature doesn't take those things into consideration when those happen. Man-made disasters don't take those things into consideration when they happen.
Yeah, the example that's been used is the green.
Yeah, and that's exactly why Kiowa County acted. I mean, they were acting as the tornado was happening because they knew what was fixing to happen, and that was immediate to saving some lives. I mean, I think 13 or 14 people still died, but given the scope of the damage, that could have been a lot worse. And they had immediate on-call stuff coming, as that was wrapping up, and that's what that takes in those scenarios. So, yeah,
A little more effective at reducing the bill and waiting for it to get through committees.
Yeah.
well, I mean, there were some places out in the middle central part of Kansas that had to make some quick decisions 2 years ago with flooding, much in the same fashion overnight. Thunderstorm comes through, adds 2 inches to an already volatile situation, and we almost had to do the same thing. I mean, we came within an eyelash of having to figure out, do we open up gates? Those are local decisions that have to work with local entities to figure that out. You're going to convene the legislature and get everybody in place overnight to deal with that? The answer is no.
Even if you could, you're having people make the rules that aren't on site.
Yeah, or I guess you could do it by Zoom now, maybe that
Oh,
would,
it's crazy.
but yeah,
So zoom out to the dam, right?
right.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Clancy.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, we have Blue Gifts at 10:35.
Okay.
Back, let's take this stuff next door.
6 minutes.
Oh.
Then I want to go back that one for some more.
Hey, it's from the city reached out to you. Oh. I may reach out to David this afternoon. You'll see me since Tuesday. Yeah, I think they're moving into the clinic part of the league, with what they can do. Oh, yeah, we really do. Yeah. Well, that part was still been fun, but we offered 400 doses of our own to Colorado County to catch up, and that still was a thing. That's what frustrates me. It's not like we were like, no, we're gonna go away and just do our own. I mean, send people over. We'll show you what we're doing and you can figure out how to incorporate it. I mean, keep it as open and that dialogue. That's what's frustrating. Is it about getting shots in people's arms or is it not? Because you can't have that both ways at this point in time.
Everyone wants both ways, John.
No, can't happen, Rich.
I know, but everyone wants it their way.
Just. I mean, to me, if that's the case, then why have phases at all? Just have everybody sign up and just do it by a draft or something. I mean, I'm not saying that's the right way to go, but
Well,
I guess on this one, I just, over this last week, I reached a threshold. Most things I'm just kind of, this one put me over a threshold and I just cannot get over it.
Well, 'cause I've got two people that I know that were under 65, and have some severe medical stuff that now they're, weeks behind if everybody else ahead of them.
Yeah.
That is a
I
much
think with
less
doing
risk.
4 a week as we're planning next week and further on, that'll help get things caught up a little bit faster. I think that's a good process, but it just didn't. I mean, we could have changed on the fly and not had an interruption and still accomplished the same thing too, and that just irritates me.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Well,
Seems like every meeting there's something
Work in
that comes up
progress,
about
I guess.
state screws with everything.
Oh, she's going Zoom today?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't realize that, but
I didn't
just
either.
assumed since you went up here. They usually let Cindy know.
Yeah, we can work on the fly. That's all right.
Oh, yeah. As long as they're present.
Okay, it is 10:35. I'm going to go ahead and move that we recess as the Board of County Commission and convene as the Board of Health. I do need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Julie, we got you on Zoom today.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Hear you perfect.
Good. Yeah, sorry I'm not there.
We've got you taken care of, so.
Good. Good. Yeah, sorry I'm not there in person. I intended to be, but then we were short some people checking in here at the start of our vaccine clinic, so I got into that.
Understandable. We were just chatting about that right before we came on. You may have heard.
I did, yes. So I'm here with the request to fill a position. It's our child care licensing surveyor. Terica Lair is leaving us. Actually, her last day was last Friday. We do service 5 counties, so Riley, Pottawatomie, Geary, Clay, and Dickinson. We do that with just a small staff of 4 to include our director. So this is all grant funded. It's with that aid to local package. So everything's paid for in that. And we do need to fill this position. I think Heather's taking over right now for Terica to make some of her visits. But this is a full-time position. And again, it's a child care licensing surveyor position, all funded through that aid to local. So that's all I have. If you have any questions.
No, pretty, from my perspective, pretty standard. If you haven't noticed, we, particularly in recent times here, we're getting quite a bit of turnover. So, most of these positions, just for continuity's sake, are probably pretty important. So that's just the perspective I look at. So,
and it is grant funded.
it is grant funded, so it has no fiscal impact to the budget.
Need a motion if the board would like to proceed with the request.
I would make a motion to proceed with the request for to hire a child care licensing surveyor 1.
I'll second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any further dialogue, secessions, questions for Julie? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All 3, please.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
Commissioners, on March 18th, that's a Thursday at 7:30 a.m., we have Good Morning Manhattan. That's typically where I'll order in early edition if the commissioner wants to continue doing that. Do have 3 speakers on there. One speaker's kind of.
Yeah, I know. I was worried about that one too.
I saw that.
I couldn't miss
2
out.
weeks from today.
I couldn't miss that opportunity. So all of you like to attend that?
I kind of have to.
Clancy? Okay. Is early edition the usual like we did last time?
Oh, yeah.
Sound like something different?
Works for me.
Yeah, I just like to have a muffin though.
Those are thrown in free, so you don't want a meal?
No.
Meal.
No, not like that. We just like.
Yeah, no problem. They can throw them up and in for free. So. Well,
I'm not an egg eater, so it's.
That's good. I eat eggs like it's going out of style, so I'll help balance it out. It's protein, it's low carb, low calorie protein. So.
Yeah. Well, I like them in certain ways.
I used to hate poached eggs, and now all of a sudden I really, really like poached eggs.
I'm a fried egg guy, is what I prefer, but I'll eat any egg.
I do mostly hard boiled just because they're easy to, yeah, they're easy to
store, pulling out.
Yeah.
It's a good protein source.
March. What date is that?
March 18th at 7:30.
It's basically every other month, third Thursday.
I may have, I do have. Yes.
And also, before we do anything else, we also need to move the recesses of the Board of Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commission. I do need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, anything else that we need to discuss, we can discuss.
Yep. I have no other business, commissioners. I don't know if Clancy has anything.
I do not.
I don't have anything either.
No, I'm good.
Okay. And with that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment for the day.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. Riley County Commission, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.